This is the second demonstration session on Socratic questioning. In the first demonstration session, we focused on questions that enable the student or whoever asked them to take some thinking apart. The assumption that underlies that mode of questioning is that to think well about your thinking, you have to be able to take your thinking apart and examine its parts. And we're operating on the assumption that there are universal parts to thinking. Students can learn what those parts are, and they can bring that understanding into every class they take. They can bring it into every discussion they engage in. They can bring it into the inner dialogue within their mind. They can bring it into their reading habits. They can bring it into their listening habits. Anywhere they bring it, it will bear fruit. This, therefore, is what we would call a powerful idea, if it can be internalized. And so we model it in Socratic questioning because, of course, it works in leading a class discussion. However, our end is not simply the quality of that class discussion, which, of course, it does contribute to, but we're interested especially in the quality that it adds to the thinking of the student that sees this model and begins to internalize it individually. So amongst these questions that we ask are, what is the purpose? What is the aim of our thinking? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the main question we're trying to answer? Do we need to reformulate that question? So we question the purpose, we question the questions, we question the information we have. Where are we getting our information? Do we need more information? Is this information up to date? Is it complete? Is it significant? Well, but there isn't simply those three questions. There's also the question of the interpretation of the information. How are we interpreting the information? What inferences are we making about this information? What conclusions are we coming to? So these are questions about what we're doing with the information as we try to make it meaningful. Then as we do this, we use concepts or ideas, so that opens the door for questioning concepts and ideas. What's the main idea we're using here? Do we need to reconceptualize our idea? Is there a different way to think about this? What concepts, ideas, vocabulary, theory are we using? It's the area of use of theory, use of idea. And of course, all of our thinking is filled with ideas. And so we need to be able to turn our thinking onto those ideas, focus on it, understand those ideas. Then as we do this, we make assumptions. This is a part of our thinking. Remember, it's a universal part of our thinking. We have a purpose, we ask questions, we use information, we interpret that information, and we take some things for granted. And so critical thinking, as thinking about thinking, turns itself onto thinking and identifies assumptions. It also notices that thinking not only begins somewhere, it goes somewhere. And so we use our mind to trace the direction of thought. Where are we going with this thought? What are the implications and consequences if we put it into action? If we continue to eat this same diet, what are the consequences going to be? If you continue not to exercise, then what are the consequences going to be? Where is this going? What are the implications and consequences? If we continue to educate students as we have been educating them, what is the consequences for their ability to perform well in the 21st century? Now, these are questions about implication. But there is one final and important question about our thinking, one part of our thinking that we have not yet emphasized, and that's point of view. How are we thinking of this? How are we looking at things? Do we need to look at it from another angle? Do we need to see it from another perspective? Do we have to, or should we consider another orientation in the thinking process? So these are the parts of thinking, and we modeled in the last demonstration session thinking in those ways, questioning in those ways, questioning purpose, questioning question, questioning information, and so forth.